Hello everyone, and welcome to another live episode of the Alex Nitzberg Show. I'm Alex Nitzberg, and today I'm going to be covering several topics, including the Hershey's Canada's promotion of a transgender person in the midst of this campaign related to women. I'm going to go more broad and talk about the fact that it's not just Hershey's or Hershey's Canada, it's pretty much most major businesses are in the tank for the LGBT agenda. And then I'm also going to talk about a proposal in the state of Florida that would expand the state's current rules against teaching about sexual orientation and gender identity to school kids, and why I believe that even with this new proposal, I think it should go further. And also, I'm going to, I'm going to start out with this. I just saw a little bit before I was coming on this show that Marion Williamson is indeed officially running for president. Now, I talked about this, I believe it was last week, but it was on another episode. Let me go ahead and switch over to my Chrome camera. So this isn't really surprising or anything, but here it is, Marion Williamson, Marion for president. I just thought I'd mention that. I'm not going to really talk about it, but here it is. She put out this video, Marion Williamson's running for president, so I'm just going to mention that. I'm not going to get into it. I don't believe she has a chance. She'll be running as a Democrat. I don't think she has a chance of beating Joe Biden or really anybody, even if somebody other than Joe Biden ends up running and Joe Biden doesn't run. I still don't expect her to really have a chance, but I just thought I'd mention that. But let me get into this. Okay, so I made a short about this earlier this week, but Hershey Canada, hey, thank you. I just saw somebody give me a thumbs up. Thank you for that. Hershey Canada has put out this campaign that's supposed to be related to women, but yet they've included a biological man, a transgender woman. So here's this press release. It says, in celebration of International Women's Day, Hershey Canada has partnered with Girl Up to launch 5 limited edition Her for She chocolate bars. Now available at participating locations across Canada, each bar highlighting a young Canadian woman taking action to build a more positive future. And it says this year's Her for She initiative spotlights 5 Canadian women. Here's the thing, it does not spotlight 5 Canadian women. It spotlights one of the people who's being billed as a woman is a transgender woman. A transgender woman is not a woman, it's a man. So it's this individual named Faye Johnstone, who's being described as a 2SLGBTQIA plus advocate. Good luck trying to say that 5 times fast. So 2SLGBTQIA plus. So here's a tweet from that individual, and you can see that this person is describing, they're saying trans woman. So this person identifies as a transgender woman. Yet they're being included in this Hershey's campaign. Here's this video.
My name is Faye Johnstone. I'm the executive director of Wisdom to Action. We can create a world where everyone is able to live in public space as their honest and authentic selves. See the women changing how we see the future at Hershey's Canada. My name is Faye.
So, and here, oh yeah, I was going to mention this too. There's this tweet from this Faye Johnstone individual, and this is a sort of a tired old saying you're going to hear from proponents of radical leftist gender ideology. Trans women are women. It's like, I've put this out before. It doesn't matter how many times somebody repeats the dogmas of radical leftist gender ideology, it doesn't become true. I mean, they can say this over and over and over. It's not true now. It wasn't true before. It's never true. It's not true. So the people keep saying this, but it's like, no, a transgender woman is a man who is identifying as a woman, which doesn't make them a woman. So anyway, and by the way, now would probably be a good time to mention that if you're not subscribed to me on Rumble, you should probably do that, because I might get in trouble for saying biological facts on YouTube one day. So subscribe to my channel on Rumble if you haven't already, just in case I ever get kicked off or censored on YouTube. So, but what I want to say about all this is, like, yeah, people are writing and talking about this Hershey's thing this week, but it's like Hershey's Canada, yeah, they're doing this, okay, whatever, but it's like, it's not just Hershey's, it's like every big business basically is involved in pushing the LGBT agenda. And the way I usually go about showing this when I'm talking about it is you go on the Human Rights Campaign website. The Human Rights Campaign, despite its nice sounding name, is really just a pro-LGBT advocacy group. And you go look at their corporate partners, and it's everybody in the world. Obviously I'm exaggerating, it's not everybody in the world, but look at this: Amazon, Apple, Google, American Airlines, Intel, Microsoft, Macy's. There's Google, and of course Google and Alphabet, the parent company of Google, also owns YouTube. And you just go down the list here. We got Pfizer, of course. Everybody knows about Pfizer from the COVID vaccines, the Walt Disney Company, Target, UPS. And look, and now we got another tier here. We've got CVS, PayPal, and I'm just, there's a bunch of stuff, not reading you every single name here, MasterCard, Visa. And so it's like, people talk about boycotts. Like, I originally found out about this Hershey's thing because I saw that something to the effect of hashtag boycott Hershey's was trending on Twitter, and I clicked on to see what was going on, and I realized that it was probably to do with this transgender individual in this campaign. But conservatives like to talk about boycotting things, and I don't really think that's very realistic because, look, I just showed you on this list. Say you're like, wow, Microsoft is doing something I don't agree with. I'm going to boycott them. Okay, what are you going to do? You're going to buy an Apple? Well, whoops, they're also on this list. So it's like, and if you're talking about, cell phones, for instance. Okay, well, I don't like Apple. I'm going to go with Google's Android. Whoops, Google's on the list. So when you start talking about boycotting things, it becomes problematic. If you want to be like a really pure, I guess you would say, boycotter, you're going to have to boycott everything. Because it's like so many companies. And this is just one thing. I'm just showing you the corporate partners of the Human Rights Campaign. What if you expanded this and you really did your research and you started looking what companies are sponsoring Pride parades, what companies are, putting out press releases celebrating Pride Month. And that's just one issue. What if you really expanded this to other issues and you started looking at what companies are really pushing a ESG or climate change agenda, what companies are pushing abortion? And if you keep going and going, I mean, you're going to end up pretty much probably living in the wilderness trying to, maybe farm for yourself and not buy anything from anybody. Because obviously there are some companies you could still do business with and not that companies that aren't offending your conservative or Christian values. But it's just like, there's a lot of companies that probably are doing things that would offend your conservative and Christian values. So it would become very problematic, I think, if you try to boycott every company that's doing something that you find offensive. So here's some more. DoorDash. What else we got here? BP. And once again, I'm just pointing out multiple companies in the same sort of category. Like, look, BP, and here they've got Chevron, they got MasterCard and Visa. So like, Capital One. So once again, you're looking like, okay, I'm going to boycott the credit card companies that I don't like. Well, where are you going to go? It's like Capital One, Visa, MasterCard. So Best Buy, there's Hershey right there. I was just talking about them, Pepsi. So you get the point. There's a lot of companies. And this is just who's backing the pro-LGBT advocacy group, the Human Rights Campaign. Like I said, you could expand and start looking at other stuff companies are doing that you don't agree with. All right, so moving on to the next little thing I want to mention here. Apparently, there are plans to have this, what is it called? American Women's History Museum, a Smithsonian American Women's History Museum. But guess what's going to be at the museum? Apparently, it says Sasaki, that's referring to Lisa Sasaki, who is I believe her title is interim director. She plans to include, surprise, transgender women at the Women's History Museum. So, once again, what are we going to have? We're going to have a women's history museum that also includes biological men. So it's basically the same theme of what I'm talking about here today. Let's see, look, there she is. Yeah, Lisa Sasaki, she's the interim director. And so it says down here, she's being quoted saying, "We have a job to build a museum that's going to serve the public for a very, very long time. From the DNA of this museum, there has been a desire to be inclusive." I mean, including biological men in a museum about women, that seems a little bit overly inclusive if you ask me. But so the museum doesn't actually have a physical location yet. They've gotten millions of dollars of donations and stuff, but there's not actually a building yet. So that's something you might be able to look forward to. One day you might be able to go to a Smithsonian Women's History Museum that also includes stuff to do with transgender women, i.e. biological men. So and then I'm going to mention this. In Florida, in the state of Florida, in fact, I'll skip over here. Currently, I live in Florida, so I'm going to say we, but I'm living in Florida. The law currently says that classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3, or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. So basically, a lot of you probably heard about this. People were calling it, I believe, the Don't Say Gay bill. That was a lot of the media and stuff was talking about that last year. So state law currently says, because of this measure that was passed in 2022, that you can't teach about from kindergarten through third grade. You can't teach about sexual orientation, gender identity. Now, that's great. I mean, it should be more than that, but it's just kindergarten. So, but anyway, somebody introduced this proposal, and that proposal would expand this to basically pre-kindergarten through grade 8. And it's like, okay, once again, I like the thinking here. Sure, pass it. That's a great idea. Why are we not expanding this to just everything? Like, why would there even be an option for 9th through 12th graders to be taught about sexual orientation and gender identity? That doesn't really seem like something that shouldn't be taught, period. Just make it blanket, like everything, no public school. But anyway, so here it says, classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in pre-kindergarten through grade 8. If such instruction is provided in grades 9 through 12, the instruction must be appropriate or developmentally appropriate. Must be age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. And then this particular proposal says this subparagraph applies to charter schools. So, I mean, if I would vote for this, if I was in the Florida State Legislature, it's not like it's a bad idea, but it's like, why are we inching our way? Why don't we just say through 12th grade? Like, that seems to be better. The bill actually, this proposal here, that it would expand the current, prohibition, it actually has more than that as well, because it also has, let me find it here, has some stuff about pronouns. It's also some good proposals. Here we go. It says that an employee, contractor, or student of a public K-12 educational institution may not be required as a condition of employment or enrollment or participation in any program to refer to another person using that person's preferred personal title or pronouns if such personal title or pronouns do not correspond to that person's sex. That's good. And there's other stuff like that. An employer, contractor of a public public K-12 educational institution may not provide to a student his or her personal title or pronouns if those pronouns don't align with their actual sex. So yeah, I don't think teachers shouldn't be giving out their personal pronouns to students. And also it says a student may not be asked by an employee or contractor of a public K-12 educational institution to provide his or her personal title or pronouns. That makes sense. You don't want teachers asking kids their pronouns. You don't want teachers telling kids what their pronouns are. So all that's great. It's ridiculous that anybody has to propose a law to deal with that issue. But I mean, I guess they do, because I mean, this is an issue that keeps coming up. It's ridiculous. But that's something that's being proposed, and we'll see if it passes during the state's legislative session, which is coming up soon. So that is that. I'm done with all my stuff for the day. If anybody has any questions or anything you want to throw in, I'll take a look real quick and see. I'm going to end today with another funny Ronald Reagan clip. Let me see if I got anything here. No comments. If you got a comment, throw it in before I shut things down here. I'm going to play you guys this funny little clip here.
Sort of reminds me of a story. A lot of things when you get my age remind you of stories. But this was a Democratic fundraising rally at a hotel. And outside, when all of them were coming out, there was a kid there with a bunch of puppies, and he was trying to sell them, and he was saying, "Come, buy a Democrat puppy, buy a Democrat puppy." 2 weeks later, the Republicans held a fundraiser in the same hall. And there was the same kid with the same puppies. When they were coming out, he was saying, "Buy a Republican puppy." Well, one of the press, a newspaper man who'd seen him 2 weeks before, said, "Hey, kid, wait a minute. 2 weeks ago, you were trying to sell these puppies as Democrats. What are you doing here now trying to sell them as Republicans?" The kid says, "Now they got their eyes open."
That's a funny one. There's also another one where he does basically the same joke, but he does it about kittens. Also funny. So that's that. All right, so thank you guys for watching this episode of the Alex Nitzberg Show. If you have not already, please subscribe to my channel here on YouTube as well as my channel over on Rumble. And I'll be back on Saturday next week at 3:30. I've been doing these live streams at 3:30 on Saturday, so I'll do another one next Saturday at 3:30. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.